Nerd News Now. Hello, welcome to Nerd News Now for the week of September 27th, 2021. I'm with Brainy and Miss Jen. Brainy, how are you doing this week?
Well, the week just started, and it's been an interesting day. It's been a very interesting day. It started off with some sad reminders, and my wife just gave me a little bit of sad information as well. But beyond that, it was an interesting day.
Well, I hope everything is good, and hopefully you get some happy reminders in there to balance all that out.
Yeah, well, that's all we can do, right?
Right.
Just hope for the best.
Describe interesting. Is it, oh God, we're all going to die?
No, it's more of one. I didn't realize I had like 3 or 4 different Zoom meetings scheduled for the day, which included a whole 3-4 hours of the Diamond Retailer Summit Zoom meetings as well. And then in fact, I had to skip out on one of them. It was for the music program I'm involved with, and of course, this morning my boss walks in and he gives me his iPhone, and he's like, "Okay," he shows me. I'm like, "Oh man, he dropped this." So I had to get him a new phone, and it's whenever there's a new phone out, it's always hard to get it in the same day or the next day. So I'm talking to my sales rep. It's like, "Hey, can I have this tomorrow?" She goes, "Yeah." It's more of a hesitant, yeah. And then she goes, "Yeah, let me put it in. We'll put in the order." She puts in the order. The order estimates it's going to arrive next week. So I'm still hoping it'll arrive tomorrow. If not, then I got to tell him, "Hey, it's being delayed, I guess." Yeah.
There's a shortage of everything, Brainy, everything.
And like I mentioned, we had the Diamond Retailer Summit today. Today was day 2 of that. So, a lot of publishers gave out some cool information. I don't know if you guys want to delve into that or not. We can do that later as well.
I think it looks like Miss Jen would like to delve into that. So
at some point.
Okay. Well, we can get to the comics part first, I guess, and then save some of that. Miss Jen, how about you? What you been up to the last week?
I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row here, so that when I go to New York Comic Con, I won't be stressed out. I've got really great staff, so I'm not that worried about that stuff. It's just mostly like business ducks in rows. So yeah. And
she's trying
to do while I'm there.
She's trying to figure out whether she's going to fly me American Airlines or Delta.
Oh, first or coach?
You don't.
She's trying to decide between first and coach for you.
Oh, it's always going to be first.
Oh, okay.
I'm spoiled. I'll take less trips and fly first or business or whatever. But Miss Jen's going to be paying for my flight, so I want to fly first.
And Miss Jen, what capacity are you going in? Are you going business, fan, both, all?
All of them. We're arriving on Thursday. Thursday's my day to hang out with my husband and go and see the sights and do the things. Probably museum, probably art museum, probably go to the Met because I love art. But and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm gonna try to meet up with as many people as I can because we're short getting to go to San Diego Comic-Con, which is a bunch of meetings and connections and all that kind of stuff. We didn't get Comics Pro except for virtual this year. Despite there actually being a Diamond Retailer Summit, it's not the same as getting to see publishers in person. It's my one opportunity this year to buy variants and bring them back and have something special for my local customer base. I've got to go and do interviews for the experience for anywhere else I want to use them. I'm sure I'm going to bring a camera for Woodlands Online and record a bunch of stuff. It's like a million hats I'm going to wear, right? That's the logistics nightmare that I have to do. Like, when am I buying the things I'm buying, and when am I shipping them out? What am I bringing back with me? And when am I going to fit in interviews? And everyone else is really busy too. So it's trying to fit all of those things in. And I want to like hang out and eat really good food with everybody because that's why go to New York if you can't do that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then there's still, probably safety protocols and everything to take into account, and just, how to get around and all that stuff. I went back in 2019. It was a blast, but overwhelming. But I'm also not the type of person who could ever go to a convention and not be stressed out. I always try to go. I'm just gonna walk around and have fun, and it never works out. Not that I don't have fun, but I'm always like just trying to get to the next thing, collect this, collect that. So, I mean, I'm
New,
gonna, yeah.
New York is a different animal. I mean, I've been going to San Diego Comic Con for, you know, multiple decades now,
Hmm.
and it's crowded. But there's something different about New York because even leaving and going outside into the city is crowded. So uh, it's a little bit overwhelming for me. I definitely find myself trying to go find quiet corners. So it's not just you, Mark. It's totally for people who are
Yeah.
not used to New York's like overwhelming all on all the time. It's totally hard.
Well, and when I went, I foolishly scheduled a Broadway play, a New York Rangers game, and a Yankees playoff game, plus the convention in 3.5 days. Luckily, I was by myself, but because I was just running around ragged, but it was, and then of course, in 2 days, I'm like, I've mastered the New York City subway system, and then I almost missed my flight because because I was like, I have to be back here by noon. It's easy because I've mastered the New York City subway system. Whoops.
My big blunder was I
Mm.
had planned to like wrap up and get all my stuff shipped out at the FedEx that's inside the Javits. And I
Yeah.
had all that ready. I had it all done, ready to go, but I mistimed it by just a tiny bit. So I was trying to leave the convention center as the convention was letting out. So what you don't realize is that the moment that happens, every Uber within whatever amount of blocks is all taken, plus they all become the most expensive versions of themselves. So it cost me
Yes.
$125 to get a ride to the airport because I waited a half an hour too much.
Surge pricing. That surge pricing will really get, and also, I mean, I know we keep saying New York Comic Con, but like it's in New York City. Like this is a city.
Yeah.
So you're also subject to, you know, weather and not having any place to hide from rain, and of course construction, wrecks, like accidents, just like traffic flow. You're at the mercy of people directing traffic. You're at the mercy of people working and trying to go to their lunch break at various times of the day. I mean, yeah, if there there is no off time, but if you don't try to exit like at least an hour before the convention is ending, you will feel the wrath of everyone else being forced out into the streets as well. And it just gets it's it's crazy. But like I said, like I overdid it. Like I was getting to the point where it's like I would have to walk like 20 minutes back to my hotel, go up to my room, throw on a different shirt, and then catch the subway out to the Bronx, and then walk 20 minutes to the Yankees game. And some Yankees fan burnt my jacket with a cigarette, and I got the full New York experience. It was cool, but like, and then of course I go from just like soaking in sweat in the convention hall to like a few hours later I'm in the Bronx at the top of Yankee Stadium, and I'm just like almost freezing to death because it's like 30 degrees and they're selling hot chocolate. I'm like, and I knew in my brain it was October, but when you have a Texas brain, it just doesn't always translate when you're traveling. And that's the hard part because from a collector's standpoint, the majority of my packing was trying to get all these comics and protective sleeves and bags and boards and boxes in and then like okay, clothes were secondary, but being a man of fashion, I had to bring a separate bag for shoes, and of course I'm wearing a leather jacket to meet Christopher Eccleston and all this stuff. So it's like I just get overwhelmed. But New York is just a very overwhelming place. I mean, you walk outside your hotel and it's almost like a cartoon where you're just like being swept up into a river of people. Oh my gosh, if you don't know which way you're turning when you walk out of your hotel, you are done. You're gonna get into a fight or just be carried
Yep.
away or whatever. Like it, it's it's wild. But try to eat some pizza. That's my best advice.
They actually have decent pizza at the Javits.
Do they?
Mhm.
Um, and then of course, if you go into like the various parts of the city, it's just you can find the best of whatever food you're looking for. So, but yeah, I hope have fun and be safe. That sounds awesome. And try not to get overwhelmed like me. But and then hopefully, I don't know what it's like. Like it was so hard buying stuff in 2019. So it might still be. I just think there's such a fever pitch right now. We talk about, Kyle and Brady's best friend, Key Collector Comics app and stuff. Like with apps like that, and just we talk about like this feverish pitch of like collecting, and I gotta get it and flip it and all this, and so you have like all these people who didn't care about comics 3 years ago, and now they're just like trying to get in there to line up to the exhibitor booths and buy all this stuff, and it's so hard to buy anything.
You know what's going to be weird this year? This is
What?
the first con that I've seen this happen. I've actually started hearing buzz that despite their best planning, that
Oh
some
no.
exclusives aren't going to be there because they are not printing in time because printers are behind.
You know what? You know how that could be advantageous? Like they probably won't make it advantageous, but you know how that could be advantageous to the buyer? If you were able to go up and go, "Hey, I want this." Okay, we'll ship it next week. That would solve your problems. Then you wouldn't have to worry about lugging all this stuff. I mean, honestly, and I know that the technology is out there to do this. Honestly, what would be fantastic is if there was some sort of way on the app to allow you to purchase stuff only if you were actually in the vicinity of the Javits Center. That would be fantastic. And it might be something as simple as just a code, like a 6-digit code they text you.
Yeah.
Like you scan your badge, you get that code, and then hey, whenever you're gonna go to this booth, you purchase it, online purchase. I don't have to wait in line because I just remember the Funko Pop exclusive line. I
Ugh.
mean, that's how people were spending their day, right? I mean, that you have to spend your day like 4 hours. That's your day.
Yep.
And I just, especially during like a pandemic, I'm not waiting around in line for that. I mean, but and it's just like I understand it's part of the deal, and it's how retailers make their money, and it's how boosts that sponsor those retailers make their money. But like, you can take my money digitally. People do it every day. I mean, whether it's like now Miss Jen's turned me on to Comic Book Shopping Network, so it's like I just buy comics digitally, right? I mean, like now I know how to do it. I'm used to it, like and it's just like buy, and you gotta
Just
go ahead.
just want to clarify. He means buying comics in a digital medium, not digital comics.
Right.
You said
Yeah.
buying digital comics.
Okay,
Or
well,
buying comics digital. Yeah.
buying the comics you guys like. I'm spending money. I'm spending real dollars either way, but yes,
Right.
physical comics through a digital marketplace. How about that?
And the proximity purchasing it's already available. Disneyland doesn't
Yeah, yeah, Disney
for
does
the
it great.
rides. You have to be within. Yep. So yeah, the technology is there. They just have to implement it, and it's not that difficult to implement. So it's a great idea. You should pitch it to Reed.
Well, I mean, the only thing they would have to worry about is like basically scalpers on the Javits, right outside on the wall on the Javits Center, but they could figure it out.
You can limit the purchase to one per account, or
Yeah.
two per account, whatever. Put a limit on there so they can't just scalp it all. Um, of course, I know people that have bots that can probably have 10 computers parked right outside. But
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, the San Diego, I had when I was helping with the exhibiting over there, I would have 5 or 6 of the exhibitors go on their break and line up for the Mattel and pick up the figures for me. So it's no different. Um, you know, than having just 10 people with 10 computers sitting at the corner just buying them all. So yeah, it's if there's a way, somebody's going to figure out a way to manipulate it. So you can't, nothing's solid protected. So
Yeah, but it would make shipping stuff back easier if they just shipped it to you directly. That would solve a lot of the problems.
Absolutely.
Um, and Miss Jen, when you go to a convention, I know you're partly there in a working capacity, but do you try to do an itinerary or do you just go? Like, do you have a list of what to get done, or do you have a list of when and where? Like, are you trying to be very strict?
Depends, because I don't know what's gonna this year is gonna look like. The
Hmm.
last time I went, which I guess was 2018, um, I had a lot of meetings already preset. I was on some panels. I was going to the Harvey Awards, so I really did have most of the time booked out, and then I wander around the rest of the time. But this, at least so far, it looks like I don't have anything like specifically booked, so that's a little bit easier. But yeah, I don't. I try not to. I just have learned from being at San Diego for so many years, where I cannot wait in line long enough to make it to those big panels that they have. That I've just learned that I'm not going to probably go to any panels unless I'm on them.
Yeah,
So I can't schedule that kind of stuff.
but then, like you said, doing interviews for the EXP and all that, you have to be on some sort, or at least on someone else's schedule. So, but hopefully, there's a time just to walk around, even and hopefully it's not too crowded. But I don't know. It was so crowded in 2019. It's just New York's the sea of humanity, which is great. Unless it's a pandemic, then it's not so great. But yeah, it'll. So, well, that'll be fun. We'll expect a full report, maybe with some video and stuff. We'll see. But yeah, that'll be a blast. So, are you there around the con? You said you're going there for what, 4 days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have a New York day, and then the rest is dedicated to the con.
Yeah.
But no, any Broadway shows? Are you trying to sneak in a Broadway show, or is that just going to be too much?
Well, I mentioned that I would because I've never seen Hamilton. I only listened
Ah,
to the soundtrack, and even that's been out of order because I just have it on my you know play mixed up whatever's on my phone.
right.
But so I'm not 100% sure when what order anything happens in Hamilton. But we went and looked at what the prices for tickets were, and I was like, I'm not down for paying $1,200 for a ticket to go see Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
It,
not
it
that.
it's just fun to check out shows you haven't heard of and see who's in them because in 2019 and I both of them were probably guests to the Comic Con too, but I saw a play with Charlie Cox and Tom Hiddleston and was even able to get a playbill signed by him. So talk
Wow.
about nerdapalooza, yeah.
Right.
But that was it was fun. It's a lot. I mean, cons are fun. It's just you know stress and humanity, But yeah, you just gotta jump in there and go for it, I guess. So, as far as nerd news, box office, nothing's really changed. Shang-Chi is number one for the fourth week in a row. It adds another like 14 or 15 million. It's up to 196 million domestically, so it will eventually inch over that 200 million mark. And so they were correct, I guess, in holding it off of Disney Plus because it worked box office wise. Even though, if you add up the Black Widow box office plus the premiere access, I think Black Widow's more. But I don't know where that money goes, and of course that was a controversy. But and then second place. Speaking of musicals, people are super mad because they realize that movies aren't musicals and musicals aren't movies. But Dear Evan Hansen is second with about 7 million. Everyone says it's a huge disaster. I don't know. I haven't seen the musical and I haven't seen the movie, but everyone's mad because movies aren't musicals. I mean, it seems like every time a musical comes out that was already established on Broadway, like Cats, which Cats was different because you had, weird animation of cats. Dear Evan Hansen doesn't has that, but it's still getting flack for like it's not as good as the musical. It's like, well, okay. I mean, I don't know. Like here's an idea: film it on Broadway. Done. I mean, then they've done that with like Fathom events and stuff, right? But like they keep trying to make these into movies, and it's just not the same, and the people complain. And then I think it's pretty amazing that Free Guy has stayed in the top three this whole time, and obviously that has not been able to be streamed at home on any digital service or medium yet. So that might be a testament to putting movies only in theaters too, because people are obviously going to that. And as far as competition for Shang-Chi, can it make it to week number 5 in a row as number one? Probably, because Many Saints of Newark and Addams Family both released wide this week. However, they're both going to be available to stream either for rent or free on HBO Max. In the case of the Sopranos prequel, Many Saints of Newark, um, so I think Shang-Chi is probably going to win the box office for a fifth time, which would be pretty fantastic. Have either of you made it out to a movie recently?
I actually asked my family if they wanted to go to the movies this week, but since there didn't seem to be anything that was new that would be something we were interested in, and I couldn't convince them to go see Shang-Chi again with me or Fall Guy. I would have gone for either of those, honestly. I would have gone back to watch either of those movies, but no one would go with me. I didn't want to go by myself.
And I haven't been to a theater since like February 2020. So, Brainy, same. You haven't been to a movie in a while, right?
Yep. Not since the pandemic hit.
Yeah. But I will. I'll be all over that Many Saints of Newark on HBO Max. I cannot wait. Have you? Were either of you familiar with The Sopranos?
I could not get past season 1. I just
Oh
couldn't do it.
wow. Okay.
And it might have been because I watched it. I watched it maybe way too late, and it was. I don't know. I just couldn't get past it. Maybe the hype was just too big for me, and I was just expecting way too much for it.
Maybe. I mean, and then if anyone kind of like not spoiled the ending, but if the ending had already happened by the time you got started and you heard like everyone was disappointed in it, that could be a thing too. Like I don't
Well,
know
I
if
mean,
I could. Go ahead.
the ending was, it was everywhere when it happened, so that there was no way to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
But everything prior to that, just I never got around to watching it.
And I don't know if I could recommend anyone watch Game of Thrones like from the beginning if they haven't seen it already, because the last season was so disappointing. So
See,
it's kind of hard to separate for me.
I disagree with the last season. I mean, it wasn't great. It didn't measure up to the rest of them, and you can tell they rushed season 8, but it was still there. It told a story. It could have been much better, but it wasn't horrible. At least for me, it was again. It wasn't par to season 6 or 7. I think those two are probably the best. And of course, the first season, that thing when they, without spoiling anything. I think 1, 6, and 7 were probably the best seasons of the entire series, but 8 being disappointing. I still think it's worth watching. I still think it's worth watching the 8 seasons. Or maybe just don't watch
maybe I'll just read the book and see how it was supposed to turn out.
You mean when it's written?
Yeah. 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 I was being facetious.
I know you were.
I just no. I think I mentioned this last week, but I am fascinated by the fact we have not heard about the book since the show ended. Like, because the run up, he's like, I'm working on it, and then it's just like we're just gonna cut out the illusion. We're just gonna cut out the illusion. I'm not working on it. Like we haven't heard anything about it.
And it might just be that he may have lost a passion for it.
It could.
Yeah, and it happens to a lot of writers. It's just something changes in life, things happen, and you just lose a passion for what you're doing.
Well, something changed in his life, all right. I mean, he went from like popular sci-fi or fantasy writer to household name. That's what changed. I mean, it just went to the moon. You can't go back to the moon.
And
Like,
you know,
once,
his financial status has changed as well, and you know, he might be at a point where he's so comfortable, like I don't need to work anymore, and I don't want to work anymore. And even though he may love writing, it is still work to him. You know,
oh yeah,
that might just
absolutely.
be his attitude, or he may secretly be working on it and pop out like 5 different books next year. You never know.
Maybe. Well, I mean, we will see. Miss Jen, I took the silence as a no for Sopranos.
I never did. I mean, I know enough about it from like its references in pop culture.
Oh,
That
okay.
is an
Well,
important, but I
eh,
also
eh,
watched other things that were big like that. So
yeah. Well, if you're familiar with James Gandolfini, I would just encourage you to watch the trailer for Many Saints in Newark because his son is going to be an earlier version of Tony Soprano, and it's just uncanny. It's just
yeah,
it's wild.
I,
I mean, it's
Brain-
just it's him. I don't know if he's got the acting chops because this will be the first thing I've seen him in, but it is
Mhm.
crazy. Obviously, the resemblance, you know, you're supposed to kind of look like your parents, so nothing, unusual there. But I guess I'm just shocked, just really how much he looks like him. It is just wild. Other movie news: Super Mario movie gets a super cast. Don't worry, it's animated, and I say don't worry, it's animated because there's going to be a contingent of people who just like remember the John Leguizamo version and how bad it was, and then there's going to be a contingent of people who are like, I love that movie, don't ruin my childhood. This goes back to the debate of if we release a new version of this movie, I promise your VHS will not disintegrate in your hands as you try to watch the old Super Mario brothers with whatever they were doing there with King Koopa and all that. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how any video game movies were ever made after that. That's how bad that was. But this will be an animated version. It's got a crazy cast: Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi, Anna Taylor Joy as Princess Peach, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan Michael Key as Toad, and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Way overdue. Why did you guys not do an animated Mario movie like forever and have like 19 of them by now? That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Because their last movie flopped.
Well, their last movie was like an 88 with, yeah, like I said, I don't know what was going on with that one.
They didn't have the special effects. They didn't have a good script.
I wonder, they said it's going to be animated, but I wonder if they would possibly venture to do like a mashup,
Rapid
like
stop.
almost like Sonic or something. Just because the popularity of that Sonic movie kind of took me by surprise. You know,
They
where
could.
they came into the world out of the video game screen or whatever. But yeah, I don't. Dennis Hopper was King Koopa, guys. That's how bad it got. And so, okay. I loved the Super Mario Super Show back in the day with Captain Lou Albano as Mario and tossing the cartoons. That was
That was
awesome.
awesome.
And then so I like people love Mario. Mario is fun and it's a Nintendo icon, and I think people will be ready for this. So won't be till probably late next year, if even that early, but I'm sure we'll get like screenshots and stuff and be able to see what the animation's like or what the style is going to be like. Now, on the TV front, we had a few trailers. Some were a week or two old. We haven't been able to talk about, but I'll just kind of go through these a little briefly, and you can just give me a yay or nay. And you may not have seen the trailer, or may not want to see the trailer, but has anyone seen the Sandman trailer yet?
no, I missed it. No.
Well, you
Can't
don't.
watch
Well,
it.
see, you don't really like trailers, but would you watch the Sandman trailer? Because like sometimes you say you don't want to see the trailer to be surprised or whatever. So,
Mostly for me, I don't like watching the one that's closest to the movie release because it just feels like
oh, okay,
the teaser trailer I always watch because it gives me an idea of what's going on. But I heard it was really great.
yeah. I mean, it just looks like dark and broody. Brain, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. And One of the things I do try to look for when they do trailers is how similar it is to the original story, and I think they're doing it justice so far. In the 2 minutes we saw, they're doing justice to the story. So
I mean, one thing's for sure on this project is that Neil Gaiman is heavily involved, and he's also involved with like the fans. And you you can look at one of his most recent Twitter feeds, and he was responding to a lot of people's questions and concerns about the show. And one guy was just like, "Hey, I just read the complete trade paperback, collection, and it was awesome, but I'll be honest, it was like a little heady, and a bunch of the stuff just went over my head. Is this show going to translate to like the average viewer?" And Neil Gaiman was like, "I have no idea. Like we'll find out when it airs, like I guess." And and but he clearly, he had a vision when he wrote the book, and he also was careful to say, or not careful, but he wanted people to know, like, look, when I wrote Sandman, that you can think it's perfect and that's sweet or whatever, but it wasn't perfect, and I learned as I went along and went into that medium of comics. And so let the showrunners do the same thing. Like let them get in there and figure out the world, and then we'll see where it goes. But it's it, Sandman is I mean, heady is a right word. Wordy, heady. I mean, just like cerebral. You could pull out any words from a thesaurus that meant the same thing, and that's what this is. So, if anyone asked me, "Hey, have you heard about Sandman?" I would just say it's not going to be like The Boys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like The Boys. Like, it's just
yep.
it's a different aspect of comics. Like some people could see that and go, "Whoa, wait, this was in comics." But if you ever read like the first Thor comics or Doctor Strange comics, and just like the word, I mean, I hate to keep saying wordy, but it's like it's wordy. There's a lot going on. It's very cerebral, and yeah, it's complicated. I know that's not going to be a great sell to someone who's never seen or read Sandman, but it's just like, hey, if you want to delve into something, here you go. See
Well,
you in a year.
It's like visual poetry, is what
and
it is.
it's hard to explain to people, general audience, that comic books aren't the old classic Archie comic books that we're used to. Comic books are true literature. The only difference between Shakespeare and Neil Gaiman is he's writing for two different styles. He's basically telling a story, but with his words, as well as visually. He's telling the artist, "Hey, this is how I want you to draw it," and show people how it is. So it's not just our imagination. It's also we're also seeing what the artist and the writer want us to see from their perspective. Um, so so it's not just, "Hey, Archie, what's going on? Let's go get a hamburger." It's really true storytelling in a different medium.
And I do have to say, with speaking using Archie as an example, someone who read Archie in the 50s would not recognize that Riverdale show.
Oh,
As
absolutely.
I mean, they would not, like anyone named Jughead. Oh, you immediately think of Archie, but like as far as like the teen drama, they put a spin on it. Now they did do some darker version of those books recently, uh, Archie versus the Afterlife and all that stuff, which the show kind of teases every once in a while. But the thing with Sandman is this is like world building, and world building takes time. It's kind of like you mentioned about Game of Thrones. That first season was so great because you're going around and like getting attached to characters that you didn't know existed, and you're being told their story and where they're from, and what the banners mean, and the different families and the years of struggle. So the Sandman is not gonna be like, did you see on The Boys when the whale exploded? Like it's not gonna be like that. So it'll just be interesting to see. It'll just be interesting to see how people take this. I can, because if people are like bored by the trailer, don't go watch The Boys. I guess that's fine. But
Yeah.
like we know as comic fans, and you guys know as retailers, that there's uh, 1,000 different stories told 1,000 different ways, right? Like, and so it's just some of it is an acquired taste. Sometimes you'll see art and you're like, I don't know if that's for me, but the story just like draws you in. Or, hey, this book's really pretty, so I'm gonna read it, and then the literature part wasn't that great, and it's just so it's just different. But I will say, Sandman's gonna be a trip if people dive into it. That's for sure.
Same thing
Um,
with Why the Last Man. That's
oh yeah,
it's in the same genre as well. It's a similar genre actually.
Or for
So
people who liked American Gods.
yes. I liked season one of American Gods, but then it just I kind of fell off of it, to be honest. Like I know there was like casting issues and scheduling conflicts, and like it was taking long between seasons, but um, I thought it was a great visual representation of the novel. So it was yeah, but it's the same sort of like tones and things going on in that. Now, and I put on the outline or the rundown for the show that no one will ever be happy. And what I meant is there's going to be people complaining about Sandman either way. But it looks dark and scary, so it looks like Sandman. The next show up that just had a trailer and yeah, I guess a sneak peek or teaser, whatever you want to call it. Stranger Things season 4. So I haven't thought about Stranger Things in like a year and a half. Just because it's been about that long. And it looks like a tonal shift. Starts out with like flashbacks, and so maybe we're gonna get kind of the history of the Upside Down, the Demogorgons, which would be really cool. And then it shows so it shows like this family in the 50s in this house, and then it shows the same house like in present day, and the Stranger Things gang is there investigating. So looks fun, looks cool, looks interesting. Can't wait. But it's just like it's one of those things that's been off the radar for so long, with so much other stuff coming down the pipe. What is your current interest in Stranger Things? Miss Jen, we'll start with you.
Given that I never watched any of them except for the first 3 episodes, and then they were too dark for my husband to watch before bed, I'm not
What?
going back.
All right, Brainy, what about you?
Well, I guess the show wasn't too dark for me. I was watching it before bed. Well, maybe that's probably why I do have nightmares. One of the challenges I was wondering how they were going to tackle is the aging of the kids. They started off as 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds and
Yeah.
whatnot, and now they're teenagers and I mean, there's nothing you could do to stop that. They were going to grow, and I wanted to see how they were going to work that in. And what they showed in the trailer, I think they worked it out well. It seems like they went to the past to show you, hey, this is what happened in the past. Now we're in present day where the kids are older and they're exploring by themselves. So there's still that time gap between season 2 and 3, but I guess we're just gonna have to live with the fact that they're all grown up and we're watching the future of Stranger Things. And I don't know if they showed the entire cast.
No, they didn't. No, and they don't really highlight. I mean, they kind of highlight like you see like Dustin like turn towards the camera or whatever, but I don't really know. Like everyone else is sort of in the shadows. Maybe they just shot a lot of it in the shadows, so you can't see how much they grew or changed. I don't know. But also I know they doubled up filming because they were like they knew about they were concerned with the aging process of the kids from the beginning, and it was always going to be a finite thing. So whether it was like all throughout high school or whatever, but it's just sort of like they knew with Harry Potter where they just had to film fast. You gotta film fast, and the adults are going to look all the same probably, and then the kids are just going to look different. But it just on story they could fast forward it months or a year or senior year or whatever you want to do. I
Yep.
think people are going to buy it. I don't think anyone's going to scoff too badly at that. I don't think you're going to have to do like de-aging technology like you did with the Robert De Niro Al Pacino movie where it's like, wait a minute, I think Dustin looks 18 but he's supposed to be 17. Like, ugh, okay. I mean, anyone who watched the Brady Bunch and the whole like Peter Brady's voice cracks and they had to do the music video that day, we'll get over it. We'll be fine. Like we'll it's Stranger Things. It's a fun universe. They've expanded it in the comics. It'll be interesting to see if they do that on the show. But you have things to play with there. Like we know going in the past, new characters. Okay, we don't know what happened to Hopper, so you may not spend a whole lot of time with these kids. Like it might be 33% of the season. Like they're still going to be prominently featured in it, but we might just see different aspects of them and their surroundings. So, and I think that's cool, and I think it will probably set up a spinoff. Like I could definitely see just a spinoff anthology series of all the things going on in Hawkins and the Upside Down and scientist backstories and everything.
Well,
So,
they can probably
yeah,
write an entire season for that 50s scene they're doing at the beginning of the trailers too. So,
they
yeah,
could.
there's a lot of possibilities. It's a good universe. It's a good universe to be in for them at least.
Absolutely. And then we'll do one more sort of like talk about trailer for another show that's upcoming, then I'll let you guys get to comics. But we've missed this the last week or two, but the Hawkeye trailer came out, right? And it's for Disney Plus. It's gonna premiere right around Christmas, and the show is actually set during Christmas. I think that's a really smart move, because it just something around Christmas with a Christmas theme. I think people are going to be drawn to it. It makes it seem like it was planned, and obviously it was planned. Like you have to plan the shooting and the editing and the post production and all that. And so I think it's a really good move. Have either one of you seen the Hawkeye trailer?
Oh,
Not
absolutely.
yet.
Yeah.
Neither one.
I,
So oh,
Miss
go
Jen
ahead.
has.
Oh, you have. What'd you think, Miss Jen?
I loved it so much. I don't know why my brain, I knew better, but my brain for some reason was telling me that they were going to like change the origin of the Kate Bishop Hawkeye character just because he was like showing his daughter how to shoot in Endgame. So I thought that was what where they were like, oh, we'll just switch that out and that'll be adorable. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see them saying, okay, the problem with taking on a character like Ronan is that anyone can really be Ronan, right? If you never said it was you. But if someone shows up and starts playing that part and you don't want them to, it's kind of interesting. I like it.
Um, Not nearly enough pizza dog for me. I mean, I was almost offended at the lack of pizza dog. Like, what, 3 seconds? Albeit on a couch, wearing reindeer antlers, awesome. But where's pizza dog? There better be pizza dog. Now, they released posters where the three of them are walking and pizza dog is on the poster. Lucky the pizza dog. Look, I think it would be expecting way too much of me to have the silent issue done as a full episode of Hawkeye at this point, but I need to see that at some point. I just need to see. I need to see from the dog's perspective. I need to see. Either like a 15-minute scene or whatever, but they better not skimp on the backstory of Pizza Dog. And I just think I foolishly thought, oh, they're going to find a way to write off Jeremy Renner as fast as possible. He's barely going to be in it. Like, I thought he was going to have like a 3-second cameo. Well, unless this trailer is cut from like just the first episode, he's going to be all over this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm really excited. I was excited about. I like Haley Stanfield. She was awesome in Bumblebee, and I just can't wait for this. And this and She-Hulk are just like the two Marvel projects I'm most excited about. Now, once we finally start seeing stuff from Miss Marvel, that'll probably jump right up there with it. And Moon Knight. I mean, I'm just excited that all this stuff is happening. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Hawkeye during Christmas time. I think it's awesome. I can't wait. So, um, but Brainy, I would check that out. It looks good.
Yeah, I probably will later today or tonight or tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah,
I'll check it definitely.
and then that'll be really. It'll probably be like I'm thinking it'll be the same format as Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it'll be like six, 50-ish minutes episodes. Probably something like that. But definitely action packed, and maybe gritty, but it's kind of a light-hearted trailer for people being shot at all the time, you know. But yeah, so comics this week. I'll just sort of rattle off some stuff that's coming out, and then you guys can add some stuff. And then, Brainy, if you want to talk about that summit, that's fine too. We got the standard Detective Comics, Amazing Spider-Man with their new issues. Got Action Comics, Justice League coming out. Thor 17, Wolverine 16. We have Berserker number 5 coming out. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 30. Robin number 6. Something is Killing the Children number 20. Inferno number 1 from Marvel. That's a number 1 for this upcoming week. We have from DC Deathstroke Inc. number 1 and Extreme Carnage Omega number 1 and Human Remains number 1 from Vault Comics. From Titan we have Gun Honey number 1. And from Aftershock, we have 10 Years to Death number 1. And Miss Jen, I saw that you had an interview with the one of the creators of 10 Years to Death. You want to talk about that?
I did not get to interview him because he had a family
Oh,
kind of thing come up. So I'm really sad because I don't know if you remember, but Aaron Douglas, who is the creator of the book, who played Tyrell and or everyone knows him as Chief on Battlestar Galactica. He came to the store pretty soon after Harvey, and kind of like lifted the spirits of some of our local folks that had lost, their house. So we all went out to dinner together, and he just they still talk about it to this day, that it was just something that they were having a crap time of it. And it was the second time they'd actually been flooded out of their house
oh yeah.
in 2 years. So that he came was super sweet. It was so nice of him to do
Oh
that.
no, I definitely remember that. He was taking pictures and signing photos and all kinds of stuff. He was a really nice guy, and I've seen him at conventions. He's just a really nice dude, and he's been in every nerd show you can think of, at least in a cameo role, and just a really good actor. And I'll definitely pick that book up because he's a good dude, and seeing him being able to put down a story in comic form is pretty cool.
And it's just no, it's a story that he overheard when he was young, and it's a true ghost story kind of tale, where it's about retribution to someone who I think it was a murder. That there's a ghost that comes back to to have their way with a person in prison. So pretty dark.
Sounds fun. Just kidding. No, it'll be a good read. I think it'll be like I said, I'm a big fan of that guy, so I will definitely support that book. But yeah, I'll turn it over to y'all. Miss Jen, if anything that I didn't rattle off there, or that you wanted to go into more detail on, go for it for comic releases this week.
No, I think that you covered them pretty well. I think it's more interesting to talk about if there's any heads up information that Brainy heard at the summit.
Nothing too revealing. Nothing we haven't heard before. The biggest conversation, and nothing against Diamond or anything, but I think a lot of publishers and retailers were taken by surprise with the timing. A lot of us didn't get information early enough about the summit being this weekend. So I think some of the publishers weren't prepared, at least in my opinion. What I liked about it is there was a lot of discussion. There was a lot of open discussion between publishers and retailers, which we have when we go to Comics Pro a lot as well. When we're sitting down in the lobby and chatting. So that was it was a good thing when we had that in the virtual roundtables we had. Beyond that, there's nothing spectacular that caught my eye. Nothing that I wanted to. Oh, I take that back. What was it? Boss Factory. They make some cool toys. If you haven't checked those out yet, Miss Jen, you should. I'll send you the information for them
Thank you.
if you want to. They had some toys that I was like, oh my god, I gotta get those. I gotta get those into the store. And most likely I'll end up buying them myself, but that's they will sell. Basically, they're making little PDQs of classic Sunday morning cartoons. Not the cartoons, rather the comics. So I know like Family Circle is going to be one of them, and I was just like, oh my god, I love those.
Cute.
We had the same publishers, Boom, basically telling us about their Boom guarantee stuff. So that's going to be something to look forward to. We had a few new titles being told, but I think we've already talked to publishers about those already. There's nothing spectacular for us. The biggest thing was the changes that are happening in the industry. I don't want to get too deep into that. We've all talked about it many times. So, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything spectacular, personally, at least.
Did they seem to be more focused on kind of like gauging how everyone was doing?
Yeah, and that was the one of the top questions of the meeting is, how's everybody doing? How's business for them? What's changed? What's gone good? What's gone bad? And of course, the resolution of returnability versus variance, and how that's changing back to what it used to be. So, those are the main topics that we all talked about, at least in our group. Oh, one of the coolest things was in our roundtable, we had a store from Moscow. That was awesome. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Oh, cool.
He was up at 1:30 in the morning for the summit. I'm like, man, that's dedication.
Yes, it is.
I was like, oh my god, this is cool. He's from Moscow. He's really from Moscow, Russia. We got to give him an award just for staying up at 1:30 in the morning to do a roundtable. That is awesome. But it was sort of nice, like you mentioned, it was sort of nice to see all those friendly faces, and just to see people light up when they see you as well. So it's it's cool that even though it's not in person, we were able to still interact with a lot of people we used to talk to when we go to these conventions, which you're going to get to do in 2 weeks anyway, or next week rather, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of my decision making about not doing it, because I was like, I'm going to see everybody again.
Yep. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that, and I'm sure there was something. I was like I mentioned earlier, I was also in other Zoom meetings at the same time, so it was kind of. I mean, I've caught everything.
Multitasking.
Yeah, and working at the same time as well.
So what did everyone seem to think about the days that they chose? The Sunday, Monday.
I didn't hear very much about that. I did not sit around for a lot of the chats, only because I had other things. Again, I had other meetings to be in as well. So, but I know for me personally, I think it was a bad choice, especially since a lot of retailers do FOC on Sunday and Monday. And again, the short notice also hindered a lot. We didn't hear about the meeting, or at least we weren't reminded, or we weren't given any instructions on how to join the meeting until Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's a day and a half prior to when the meeting is really going to happen. People have already made plans for the weekend at times. So, again, I don't want to reveal too much of what we've talked about in the private retailer chats. I don't want to get in trouble with some of these guys. So,
Yeah.
but there were, again, just like everything else, there were some people that were unhappy with the way it was handled. There were some glitches with technology, which was expected, but could it have gone better? Yes. Did they do a decent job? I'd say yes. They did the best they could with what they had. So, hopefully, if they do this again next year, I'm sure they'll get it down pat. I remember when Comics Pro had that same issue the first time they did virtual as well. So similar issues, not as bad.
wonder if Reed's going to do another gathering, because Repop's gatherings were pretty well done.
Yeah, we'll see. That's something to ask him next week. You're going to see them up there, right?
Yeah, I'll go ask and see. Like, we missed, maybe they don't know we missed it.
Isn't San Diego virtual this year?
They're going to do a live one in at Thanksgiving. The tickets actually just sold this Saturday. Doesn't be a smaller thing. It's much different. We decided not to go.
Yeah, I think that timing might not be a good timing. One, for retailers, we've got local comic shop day that weekend, or that week rather. Plus, it really is the one time you're spending with your family. And I'm not sure if a lot of us want to actually go out to San Diego just to.
Well, I mean, if you go out, then you're missing Black Friday. So.
Yeah, exactly that as well. That is, in fact, I've kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just me or whatnot. I don't know if Black Friday holds the same value as it did 10, 15 years ago. I think people.
Now that it starts whenever.
Exactly. That, I think companies have started doing it 2-3 weeks. Even at the start of November, it's like, hey, get your Black Friday deals now. Don't even wait. So it's not the same as it used to be. But it's still a big day for a lot of people. It's still, people still like to go out, and I don't know if it's going to be the same this year, because last year was quite different as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, it'll be modified again.
Any other comic stuff you want to throw out?
I don't think so. There's a lot this week, so everyone's gonna have to watch their budgets, because there really are some important books that are all out. There's lots of number ones and lots of follow-ups to books that are important.
Yeah, I'm curious about Darkhold. I want to see where that's going. Darkhold #1 comes out today. Darkhold Alpha #1 comes out this week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then a couple of number ones that caught my eye. Firefly River Run #1, if you're a big fan of Firefly, or the aforementioned Stranger Things, Tomb of Ubwen #1, and then one that really jumped out, because I don't think they've ever done anything like this, is Transformers 2021 Halloween Special #1, a horror story featuring Starscream. So I might have to jump on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you mentioned Human Remains. That looks very interesting as well. That might be a sleeper hit for people as well. We'll see how that comes out. Inferno from Marvel as well. I'm not.
I don't understand why they started two big storylines at the same exact daggum time. They did the same thing, and they had War of the Realms, and there was another one. It was just like they announced they were running them at the exact same time. Like, you're making people choose. They can't do both of these.
And unless if they cross over, even if they cross over, it's going to be a difficult sell, at least in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes.
And I'm excited there's a new original graphic novel that I've been looking forward to reading. I think it's part of Vault's new kids line, Needle and Thread.
Is that out this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I may not have pulled it for myself.
It just looks adorable, and since I do cosplay, it just anything with sewing in it makes me happy.
Let's see.
Oh, and then there's a Turbo Kid, Apple's Lost Adventure #1. That is wild that they're making comics based off that crazy indie movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Turbo Kid is fun. Have they done that before? Because I need to go back and get those if they have.
And anybody who's missed out on TMNT: The Last Ronin, 4th printing of that comes out this week as well. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think second for #2 as well. 3rd printing of #2 as well.
There's been some pretty huge buzz around Unborn also.
Oh, from Source Point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From what I hear, a few online retailers are already sold out of number one, or cover A of number one at least.
I actually ordered it both from Diamond and directly from SourcePoint because I just had a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think we ordered it from SourcePoint only. That might have been a mistake on my part.
So lots and lots of stuff coming out. That's a lot of stuff to choose from. Like Miss Jen said, you'll have to budget because there's lots of number ones, lots of key follow-ups, and lots of events starting and going on. Well, thanks guys for sitting with me through this hour of Nerd News Now. Thank you to Brainy and Miss Jen, and thank you for watching Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by the Adventure Begins Comics and Games and Space Cadets Collection. Check out our other shows on Woodlands Online, like Music Cafe, The Adventure Begins Show, Woodlands House and Home, The Best You, Between the Trees, Business Talk, and much more. You can watch all these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station, KBQT over the air, HD21 over the air on your television. All these shows and more on Roku right now. Search and add Woodlands Online TV to your streaming lineup. And you can listen to the podcast version of our show on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast from. See you next time on Nerd News Now.
We're just gonna die.
Yeah, we're fine. We're out. All right, thanks guys. So when do you leave for New York?
I'm gonna get there on Thursday.
Okay.
So not this week, next week, but
Next week. All right.
yeah. As far as I know, if it's this week, I need to pack.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm
All right.
terrified. And when I think about it too hard, I actually do get anxiety. So
I mean, I do that with pretty much everything. So yeah, just try to go and have fun.
Yep. All right, guys. It was fun. Good times.
All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. See you next time. Stay safe.
bye, everybody.
Bye.